So maybe you clicked on this video because you have had a rough year and you need to restart. Or maybe you just realized your life isn't exactly what you thought it would be at this point in your life. Or maybe you're just looking to move into the next year with some fresh energy. Whatever your reason, I've got you covered. In this video, I'm going to share with you the ultimate guide to a life reset. And we're going to go through 4 different steps I take my clients through who are just looking to renew, rejuvenate, and maybe create something even more amazing for their lives. Now, I also created a workbook for you below, totally free, so you can go ahead and click the link below to grab that and download it. You can do this without it for sure, but if you grab it, you're also going to get some follow-up material as well. It's going to help you through this process, some extra resources. So if you're ready, I'm going to grab some tea and let's get into this. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. My name is Erdman-Luntz and I've been a life coach and yoga educator for over 30 years. And my goal is to inspire people to live their extraordinary life, to help people find that life that's deeply fulfilling, full of purpose, and vibrantly joyful for you. And honestly, step 1 is to do some sort of life reset, right? To figure out where it is you are right now and where it is you want to go. And that's what we're going to do in today's video. Now stick with me. The first step is the most important step for everybody to take. The third one is going to help wake up some life blindness. We're going to talk about what that is. And the fourth one is probably the most important step for you. Now, be sure you grab the workbook if you want a little extra support here. And then let's dive right in. We're going to begin by giving ourselves a little bit of grace, okay? Just so you know, we all go through times in our life when we're not paying attention and we're doing what I call sleepwalking, which is you're just going through day by day. Your Monday's always the same. Your Tuesday nights are always the same. Sundays always feel the same. You're basically going through the motions of the dailiness of your life without really paying attention, okay? And then we also create some life blindness. So life blindness is areas of our life that used to bother us, but we stopped paying attention to it. We never fixed it, and it's still there. So a great analogy for this is house blindness. So if you've ever experienced, and I know you have, that area in your house that needs work, maybe it's the baseboards that need paint, or that pile of clutter on the kitchen counter, or the clutter in the corner, or all of the cobwebs around the ceiling, right? There's a part of your house that drove you nuts, and you kept meaning to do something about it, and after a while, you just stopped noticing it. You didn't take care of it, and it just wasn't quite as noisy. But it was still bothering you, even though you weren't aware of the annoyance. And you know that because when you took care of it, you were like, oh my God, that feels so good, right? When that clutter was gone off the counter, it felt so good. In fact, you get this little surge of energy, right? And the same is true for our life. So it might be a little bit of weight gain every single year, and it just keeps happening. And the first 5 or 10 pounds really bothered you, and you're really paying attention. You're like, I need to do something about it, but you didn't. And then you kept gaining weight, right? Or maybe it's your relationship with your spouse, and you had a fight that you didn't really clear up, and it really bothered you and you wanted to, but then you never got around to it. And then you had another one, and it just kind of festers in there. We all do it, okay? This reset is about stopping, waking up, so you're no longer sleepwalking, clearing out the corners, and really taking control of your life. You can do this, okay? Now, the main reason we're doing this is to figure out where we are right now in life and where we want to go to make sure that we're moving towards something that excites us. And I'm going to take you through the 4 steps that I think we all need to go through on a periodic basis. Now, just so you know, each step builds outward, okay? The first one is the most important to start with, and then it'll give you a little bit of energy, and then we're going to move out, and that next step's going to bring you even more energy. We're going to move out, and the next step's going to bring you even more energy, etc. Okay? So if you happen to have been going through a really rough time right now, then maybe step 1 is where you stop for now, okay? And then when you feel ready, and you're going to get it as we go through it, when you feel ready and you're ready for that next step, you can come back and do that next step. But if you're like, oh gosh, this is awesome, I'm ready for step 2, and this is great, I'm ready for step 3, then by all means, keep going. So let's start with number 1. And this is the most important step. And if you've been following me for a while, you know how I feel about this. And it's something that's become a little cliche, and yet everybody needs it. Are you ready? Self-care. Okay, stick with me. I was listening to a podcast the other day, Science Versus, and the host, they did a show on self-care. And the host was like, I just think it's a bunch of bunk. I can't believe people do this. This is the dumbest thing ever. And it was really funny because by the end, they actually tested 3 things, 3 forms of self-care. It was like cold plunging, gratitude journaling, and then a third that I can't remember, socializing, being with friends. And they tested the cold plunge and the gratitude journal. And by the end, the host said, okay, I do feel a lot better. Like this did make a difference. So I had to giggle because in a matter of like a week, she completely changed her attitude around self-care. Realize that self-care is your fuel, okay? It's what fills you up. Do you ever have those experiences of, I just have no bandwidth. I don't have the energy to do anything. We've all been there. You might be there right now. That might be why you clicked on this video. Trust me when I say self-care will make a difference, but it has to be intentional. It has to be personal. So it has to be for you, and it has to be strategic. Okay, so stick with me here. So when I say personal, it means that you want to do something for your body, your mind, your heart, and spirit. Okay, and for you, you might say, you know what? My heart and spirit is so filled up. That is not what I need. This is what I'm talking about. You might need to focus on your body. Okay, and you might need to do things that help relax your body, or you might need to exercise your body. You might need to be moving it in order to fill yourself up. It's very personal, and honestly, it can change day to day. And this sounds like you're like, oh my God, this is so much, Laura, I can't do it. No, it's really not. And you will usually have a craving for what you need. So just stick with me here for a second. If you spent the whole day out and about and you were shopping and walking around, standing on your feet, so you're physically exhausted, a hot bath would feel really, really good, right? A long walk and a workout, not so much, right? Do you see where I'm going with this? Maybe you spent the week in your head stressed out over a work project. You're just totally in your head stuck. A hot bath might be the last thing you need if you're going to lay in that bath and worry and ruminate over this project. I didn't get it done. I should have done this. I should have done that. Maybe what you need is to sit down with a novel and read with a cup of tea or a glass of wine because you need to shut off that brain. Or maybe binging a Netflix TV show, your favorite one, is the perfect thing. Yes, I said binging can actually be self-care if it is done well, right? If it's what you need. There are times when I will watch 3 to 4 episodes of one of my favorite TV shows, and I turn it off and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so filled up. Like that was just what I needed. So you need to just take a little bit of time and figure out what is it that is going to actually fill your cup. And that's why it is strategic. Do you see what I mean? You're figuring it out. And what works for your spouse or your best friend or your sister is not necessarily going to be what works for you. You have to tap into what it is you need. Now, I also believe it needs to be proactive. And what that means is you do it. Are you ready? Because this is going to be transformational, whether or not you need it. Yeah. I call it radical self-care. And I actually have a course called the Radical Self-Care Toolkit. So if you're feeling like this is something I really need, check in the description for the kit because I definitely recommend tapping into really just figuring out what self-care means for you, what it is that you need, and getting filled up in a way that fills you up. Okay? So what do I mean by proactive and doing it whether or not you need it? It means you have a system of self-care already built into your life. So you are doing something daily, weekly, and monthly for yourself. And actually, I recommend annual too, when you take a weekend to do this work. What we're doing right here, where you stop and you evaluate where you are in life, where you want to be, etc. And you can always redo this workbook. Save it on your hard drive, save the link to the video, and come back in 12 months and do it again, or 6 months and do it again. Absolutely. Okay, so the daily, weekly, monthly is you do something every single day that fills you up. Okay, now it can be several times a day, but if you're not doing anything, start with one. It can be 5 minutes. This does not mean a ton of time. If you are doing something that helps fill you up, that is really personal, then 5 minutes can be all it takes. I do something really easy. I just change my shower from an everyday got to get through this in order to move on with my day to a self-care event by simply turning on my diffuser, putting in one of my favorite supporting oils, whatever it is that I need that day, and turning the lights down. I actually don't have any windows in my bathroom, so even when it's light out, I can do this. And just turning on a night light. And I have the light from my diffuser and the light from the night light, and that's it. And just relax in the shower. I'm still doing it. Same thing I do every single day. Nothing changes except the ambiance, which changes the whole experience from that dailiness of a shower to I am filling myself up with this. It just helps me relax. Okay, so you're gonna do a little something every day. You're gonna do something a little bit more once a week. Okay, so this could be a class that you take, maybe a yoga class. It could be that you drive somewhere to take a walk around a beautiful park area. I actually have a walk near my house. It takes me a whole hour to do this, so I don't do it every single day. And I don't do it when it's really cold. I live in Minnesota, so I do have my temperature standards, that's for sure. But it takes me a whole hour to do it, and I walk to it. That takes me a good 20 minutes, and then walking around it takes me about 40 minutes or so, and half an hour. And it is a beautiful spot, and I do it at least once a week, but usually 2 or 3 times a week when weather permitting. And that's a little something more that I do for myself. When my kids were little, I would take Thursday afternoon, and it would just be, that was my time to just fill myself up and relax. And I'd be with them, but we would do something fun, like maybe watch a movie or go for a walk or do something together, but it also was intentional to help fill myself up. I get to do a lot more now that I'm an empty nester. And then I recommend doing something once a month, and that is a monthly self-care retreat. Okay, so that is taking a whole day or as much of a day as you feel like you can give yourself, and there's no judgment here. It took me probably 5 years to take an entire day. I was just taking afternoons all the way through the evening. Okay, so I would stop my work at noon, and then for the rest of the day into the evening was my self-care time. Now I can take whole days. But even so, it's on Sunday. Like, that's a day that I feel that I can safely, legally, and I'm using that in quotes, legally take off for myself. But you're going to fill that day with things that fill you up. So this might be like sleeping in, or getting up early to do a workout. It could be watching several movies in a row with a big bowl of popcorn and some chocolate chips. That's definitely one of my favorite things to do. It could be taking a hot bath. It could be getting a manicure, a pedicure, going out for lunch, staying in for food, not cleaning, or cleaning. If that feels really good, but you have to realize that, make sure it's not a chore and you're doing it because it's going to fill you up, then by all means do it. You get to decide. And you get to put your awareness on what it is you need, right? Body, mind, spirit. What do I need today? I try and do a little something for all 3 during my retreat days, but I definitely have those times when one needs more attention. In fact, every time, one of those areas is going to need more attention than another. And if it is my heart, needs it, then I might spend the day with a friend. That might be what I do, or with my husband. I might say, let's go do something fun for the day. And he knows about my monthly retreat. So I'll say, this is my monthly retreat day. This is what I'd like to do with you. And he can say yes or no, but he pretty much always says yes. So daily, weekly, monthly, making it proactive. So you're taking care of yourself, whether or not you need it. I think I should say that in quotes too, because we always need it, but for so many of us, we can't do things for ourselves unless we're in that desperate place, right? And this is keeping your cup full rather than letting it go empty and refilling it. And then the second thing is making sure you're being strategic by doing what it is that you need to fill yourself up. Okay, step number 2 is to take a little bit of time to evaluate your routines and your schedules. Okay, we are very routinized people. In fact, our brain is literally wired to be habitual, to just keep doing what we're doing. Think about how you brush your teeth. Believe it or not, you brush your teeth pretty much the same way every single time, right? Think about how you are when you drive to work. Do you really pay attention, or did you just kind of get there and realize, I didn't even think about my driving this whole way? It's because it's habit. Or maybe you buy a new house and you end up driving to your old house a few times before you remember you've moved. It's because of that habit. And so what we want to do is look at the routines that we have and make sure that they are serving us. Now, you can look out throughout the whole day and figure out what is helping you and what might not feel very satisfying. I recommend focusing on 2 at least to start and then expand out. And that is your morning routine and your evening routine. And the reason for that is they set you up, right? They set you up for your day. Well, your morning routine sets you up for your day, but your evening routine sets you up for your morning routine. So those are really important. So the evening routine, you want to make sure it is helping you get a really good night's sleep. So that is the main point of that evening routine. So if you are someone who has a hard time sleeping, or you wake up after what you feel like was a good night's sleep, but you're still exhausted, then you need to definitely reevaluate your evening routine. It needs to be this lovely cap to your day. And it doesn't necessarily mean more time, but it does mean being more intentional to really help yourself relax deeply. So whether you do a little bit of stretching, you do a little meditation or journaling. Sometimes it's nice to journal because it gets all this stuff that's going on in your head down onto the paper. I definitely recommend getting a diffuser going with some essential oils. That can be a really powerful way to help you shift out of the stress of the day. And I do have a few other recommendations. I'm going to actually link a podcast below that I did on building an evening routine. So you can go check that out and figure out what it is that you can do for yourself. Now, that brings us to the morning routine, which sets you up for the whole day. So the more intentional we are with our morning routine, the easier the rest of the day is, right? If you wake up rushed, you're running late, so you feel that stress and you're really stressed out, it sets you up for a bad day, for sure. But if you wake up with enough time to do a little something for yourself, even if it's just 3 or 4 minutes, and build your energy, build your positivity, it's going to help you move into the day with much more grace. It also sets you up for other behaviors that help support your day. So when you're feeling good, you're much more likely to eat a healthier lunch that gives you the energy after lunch, right? It helps you come home from work, and instead of just sitting on the couch, flipping through channels and ordering a pizza, you might get changed, go for a walk, and make a really healthy dinner. Now, that said, there is nothing wrong with that pizza. I do love a pizza every once in a while. But we're focused on the things that really make us feel good and give us energy. And there is a good chance that sitting on the couch and ordering a pizza isn't coming from this is what I really love, and this is something that's really going to support where I'm going, right? Now, another thing you want to think about is, are there any other times during the day that I want to play with here? Are there any other times during the day when I really need to support myself better? Maybe right after work or right after lunch. That was my big one, right after lunch, because I would make myself do something like really focused work when I'm really tired. It's definitely a low time during my day. And as I push myself, I would get adrenalized and really stressed out. And so instead, I now use my after lunch time to do a little creative work, to do some writing, email writing, or graphics or something like that, because it's more supportive of the energy I have in that time. So just start paying attention to your routines and your habits and see which ones are supporting you and which ones are not. And then make changes, right? Change the things that you can change. And you can just start really small. It's just like decluttering. When you declutter and you think, I can't do this, there's just too much. And then you do a tiny corner and it just feels so good that you get this surge of energy. Same thing's going to happen here. So just change what you feel you can change, and it's going to give you more energy to change even more. Now, this brings us to PTAing. And this is a term that I came up with my own life coach to describe those times when I'm mindless, right? Like I am so exhausted, so spent, and what I really need is self-care, but I don't even have the bandwidth to figure out what I need. So I waste time, and not in a good way, right? Like I don't believe like relaxing, sitting on the couch, vegging is wasting time if that's what you need, and it leaves you better than when you started. PTAing, or pissing time away, sorry for the crude language, but it really is descriptive, is about using time in a way that leaves you more exhausted. Like there's no purpose to it at all. And it's almost always when you are so exhausted, you can't figure out what to do. Now, my personal PTAing usually is in two forms. You want to figure out what yours is, how it shows up for you. It's doom scrolling. So figuring out something that's really bothering me that, is going on in the world, and I'll just keep going further and further down. Not serving me. It's not that I'm even learning good things that I should know about. I'm just getting angrier, right? And the second one is binging TV shows or YouTube videos. And I know earlier I said sometimes that's just what I need, and it is. But at these times when I'm PTing, it's not what I need. It's not filling me up. It's just helping me numb out so I don't have to pay attention to the discomfort going on in my body and mind. Usually the feeling completely spent, right? So you have your own PTAing. Trust me, everybody does. You want to identify it and then have a plan when you realize you either want to do it or you catch yourself doing it. So, for example, my plan is it's usually a hot bath or fresh air. So it depends on the time of day. If it's night and dark and freezing cold here in Minnesota, I'm not going to go outside. So definitely the bath. But sometimes I need the activity in my body, and sometimes I just need to relax in some hot water. And then I will feel replenished. So you want to figure out what your PTAing is and what is your plan when you want to do it or you catch yourself doing it. What can you do instead that will really help support you? This is all about using our time really, really well. And I just want to make it so clear that this does not mean not wasting time. Like, I'm a firm believer in wasting time when you love what you're doing. This is about wasting time in a way that leaves you worse off. Time is such a precious commodity. We don't need to be productive all the time. I don't believe in being productive all the time, but I do want to use my time so well. And that includes filling myself up and not doing things that make me feel worse at the end. So here's what you're going to do. You've got your schedules and routines. I want you to think of morning and evening for sure, and just start paying attention and just noticing what's going on in your life and figure out what you do to PTA. Put a plan together for what you can do instead. All right, so how are you doing? I just want to do a quick check-in. So we've done some self-care, which will help fill you up. We've looked at your routines and your schedule, which can fill you up even more. The next step number 3, is where we start to look a little bit more into that life blindness and areas of your life where you might have checked out because it was a little difficult to look at. So I just want you to take a deep breath. And I want you to realize this is important to do. If you really don't feel ready for it though, stick with the self-care and the schedules and routines for a little bit longer and then come back. But also know that I am a firm believer in no judgment. Okay, we are assessing where we are. We are not judging where we are. Yep, there are going to be areas of our life that are far from ideal. Everybody has those areas. Nobody has the energy or the bandwidth or the life experience where every area of their life is perfect. I know it may look that way on social media. It may look that way on TV, but it is not true. Do not believe the hype. So being able to look at this and just say, yep, that's not the way I want it to be, and I want it to be this way, so now I'm going to work on it, is really important, and not be putting yourself down and frustrated with where it is, because you're never going to get to that new place if that's where you go. So you have my permission to give yourself a whole slew of grace around this, because it's going to help you so much more in the long run. we're going to look at the 5 main areas of our lives, okay? And we're going to look at whether or not we like where we are and if there are any changes that we would like to make, okay? We're going to do this fairly quickly. This is something that you may want to pause the video as you go along to think about it a little bit more. But what I want you to do is a couple of things. First of all, you're going to rate that area on a scale of 1 to 5. So 1 is, this is the worst it's ever been. I'm at my rock bottom. It's time to change. 5 being, if I had my druthers, if I had my dream, this is what I would love to have. You're already there, okay? So most of us, hopefully, have a couple of 4s and 5s, and most of us have at least 2 1s or 2s, okay? And that's where we want to focus and bring more awareness to them. Now, also realize the more self-care that you step into, the more strategic, proactive self-care you step into, the easier it will be to handle those 1s and 2s. There's a reason they're 1s and 2s. It's because they are hard for you to look at and think about. And so it's been easier to ignore them, but we don't want to ignore them anymore. We want to start setting goals and visions for these areas, but we need to pay attention to them first and bring a little light to that area. Area number 1 is our physical health, our bodies. How well do you take care of your body, and where are you right now on your scale of 1 to 5 with your health and your wellness? So give yourself a rating, and then also think about, is there anything you would want to change? And remember, no judgment. This is just assessing where you are. You know what? I really do want to start to exercise. I want to change my diet a little bit. I want to cut back on meats. I want to do more fruits and vegetables. I want to drink more water. I want to drink less alcohol. I want to drink more alcohol. I want to learn how to really enjoy a very good glass of wine. What is it that you need? I need to learn how to relax. This is where I want you to just think about some of the things that would help you get to a 5, a 4 or 5 if you're not there already. Number 2 is your relationships. Now, you probably want to do a few different sections of this. I've given you 1 in the workbook, but you've got lots of relationships. And what I recommend is doing your top 3, the 3 most important relationships in your life, and just taking a moment to evaluate them. So maybe it's your partner in life, your kids, or your parents, or your best friend. Maybe it's your boss. That's someone you really need to work on. And maybe you have 4 or 5 relationships. That's fine as well. And just take a moment to rate them 1 to 5. Where are they right now? What do I need to do to get to a 5 if I'm not there already? And if you are at a 5, and I didn't mention this earlier, this is where you want to celebrate. 4 or 5, just be like, this is awesome. We usually take for granted those things that are going really well in our life. So especially if we haven't worked for them, we just kind of naturally are there. Take some time to celebrate the relationships that are a 4 or a 5 and be really excited about it, and be sure you maintain that intentionality around that relationship. Then for each one, just take a moment. If it's not a 4 or 5, what do I need to do? What would help this relationship get to where I want it to be? All right, area number 3, financial. Now this one has actually a lot of facets to it. Finances, boy, the more I coach people and help with manifesting, I've seen so many different renditions of challenges in the financial area, from not believing you can make enough to not budgeting, so overspending always, to saving to the point of hoarding, so you're not actually enjoying the money you have and not sharing it with others. I have literally only met one person who is truly healthy around money, and it's actually my son. Everybody has their hang-ups around money. It's amazing. So I encourage you right now to think, where am I with my finances between a scale of 1 to 5? And what do I need to do to be a 4 or 5? What would help me? Am I enjoying my money? Am I earning enough money? Do I need to look into how I can earn more? Am I saving enough money? Look at all the facets for you. And if you're not quite sure, I will tell you the people in your life know. They can help you. They can actually help you with almost all of these, but I find the finances, more than almost anything, those who are really close to us really know our hangups and can help us learn more, get it out of our, the back of our minds and bring it to the front so that we can take care of those challenges. So figure out what it is you need to do to get from whatever number you are to a 4 or 5 if you're not there already. All right, area number 4 is work, intellectual, career, your mind. And this one is making sure the work that you do in the world feels purposeful, is something that you're enjoying. You're using your mind well. Also in here is, do you learn new things? Do you expose your mind to new ideas? How are you using your mind? So take a moment and figure where you are on that scale of 1 to 5. Are you using your mind well? Are you enjoying your work? And then take a little bit of time to figure out what it is that would help you get to a 4 or 5 if you're not there already. And it could just be having a hobby where you feed yourself a little bit more in the mind. Like if you have a career that you're like, nope, doesn't serve me, but I have 5 years left until retirement, this is not something I'm going to change. Don't change, right? Like it's okay. So let me figure out a different way to really support my intellect and to really help me. Maybe it's a side hustle though. Maybe you want to start a small business on the side that builds that you can step into more fully when you retire. Who knows? So many ways to work this. But it doesn't mean you have to leave your job and start something brand new, right? You just can start to tweak and figure out other ways to support your intellect, support your beautiful mind. And the 5th area is your spirituality or your faith. Now, this could be religion, if that is for you. I see it as that connection to our deeper side, which again, you can get to through religion, through spirituality, through the universe, the divine, or just simply having quiet time and journaling. It's really taking that time to check in with ourselves. It's our connection to us. Okay? So I encourage you to think, how am I connected? Do I really know what's going on inside of me? Looking at all of these areas, was it like, wow, this is all brand new information? I had life blindness everywhere. Then trust me, you definitely need some time to check in with yourself. And what can I do to do this? What have I done in the past that's helped? For me, just being in nature is incredibly powerful. Just being in nature and connecting, communing, if you will, just sitting on my deck can be an really powerful way to help me deepen my relaxation, deepen my connection with myself. So where are you on a scale of 1 to 5? And what do you need to do to get to a 4 or 5 if you need to? Or if you are a 4 or 5, what can you continue doing to make sure you stay at that 4 or 5? Before we leave this topic, let me add one thing, and that is if you have an area of your life that you don't feel like fits into these 5 areas I just shared, do another section. Okay, I want you to feel like you're really touching all of the areas of your life where you might have a little life blindness, so you can really step into the life that you want to create for yourself. Are you ready for the final step for our ultimate life reset? All right, step number 4 is having a vision for your life and goals to get you there. So do you have a vision for your life? Hey, editing Laura here, because I also wanted to add, as I talk about visioning, if there's a part of you that says, Laura, I'm in that second half, I'm slowing down, not revving up, I don't really need a vision, then you definitely want to subscribe, because in my next video, I'm going to be sharing with you some really crucial mindset shifts that we need to make at midlife. So definitely subscribe and watch for that video. All right, back to what I was saying. And if you do, awesome, write it down in your workbook. If you don't, take a little bit of time to think about what it is you really want. Go back to step number 3, look at those 5 areas, figure out what would be your dream there, what would you really love to see for your life, and realize that this vision is what gets us excited. It gets us excited about our life. It gets us excited about growing and evolving and shifting and moving through our fears. This is what gets us even more inspired in life. So it's not about I'll be happy when, and in fact, those first 3 steps we went through We're about finding more happiness in the life you're already living, right? It's about, I'm happy now, I love my life, and I'm ready for more. And that vision is just here to give you a little spice, to get you excited about, again, evolving and growing and learning. I want to encourage you to make that vision come alive a little bit more by setting some goals to help you get there that you can start working on now. I encourage you to just take a moment to find one or two goals that you can begin actively working toward now. And there you have it. The 4 things you need to do in order to truly reset your life. But again, we went in the order of importance for energy. So if you're like, I don't have the bandwidth for a vision, then you need to be working on step 1, step 2, step 3 in order to get to that 4th one. I encourage you to just take a moment to go to the last page of the workbook and actually put your plan together. Go back through the notes and pick 2 or 3 things that you want to work on right now. What is the most important thing? And realize starting from number 1 is the most important thing. So getting that self-care up and going is going to serve you. It's going to help you so much as you move down the list. So getting that evening routine going so you get better sleep and feel more refreshed and have more energy. Do you see where that's going to help you as you begin to look at the 5 areas of your life and put a vision together? It is so powerful. Now, if you want more around all of this, definitely grab the workbook because I've got some follow-up resources for you and extra inspiration and support. You can check out my course, Planning My Best Year So Far, and that's because it's just going to get better once you learn this process, and you can just do this process again and again and reuse the workbook whenever it is you feel like you need it. And you can also check this video that I have on YouTube, which is Manifesting for Beginners. So you might want to check that one out. I will link to it here. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. It is time to take that next step into your extraordinary life because you know what? Life is meant to be extraordinary. See you next time.